Hi Taurus, welcome to your June 2016 love reading. It's Rena here. I have been doing some of these over again, and you're one of the signs because of video issues. I decided to just do a fresh reading, and I just want to let you know that. The other thing too is every time I say it's Rena here, somebody thought I was saying it's raining here. So I don't know if I'm going to say that anymore because it just makes me laugh. So I can't remember what sign the comment was written under, but it was pretty funny. So anyway, I'm shuffling the cards. I really, I'm not like a fancy schmancy shuffler. So, and because this whole thing with, trying to do the camera thing and not knowing exactly what it picks up, I really am not going to. So I'm just going to, I've been shuffling them, and then I also put them into little categories or, groups, and then pick from each group, just so that it really gets mixed up. And I've got one off screen. Okay, so, and I will be holding it up too because, as I say, I don't even know what gets in the shot and not fully. Okay, alrighty then. I wonder what this is going to look like. Okay, so the heart of the matter, Taurus, for June, is the Hangman card. So there are several possibilities. One could be that you are kind of in a holding pattern, a waiting period. Maybe there's some situation that requires you to kind of hold on and not take any action for whatever reason. Sometimes the Hangman card can mean that somebody is having to just leave it up to God, whatever the situation is. Maybe it's something that you've tried to deal with in the past and you haven't gotten anywhere, and you've tried to exert your will on the situation and it just hasn't worked. So you must just let go and let God. But it can point to a period of suspension, of having to suspend activity and allow things to just run their course, or for development to occur. In the recent past, I did get the Eight of Wands. This typically can mean that something very quickly took place, and usually, or at least some of the time, it's related to a career matter. Maybe you hear good news. It can indicate travel. It can indicate, having to kind of make a swift decision about something. So you can see the contrast between those two cards. Now, it's always possible that the Eight of Wands relates to an actual person. Maybe you had somebody that was a fire sign involved in whatever situation occurred. And it could even be that, I don't know if this is connected specifically to Sagittarius. I would think Aries. But it definitely fire energy, so Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. I'm also thinking that for some of you, it may have been a situation where you were all excited because you were going to meet a special person, and you may have even had to travel to meet that person. And when you got there, you found out that the situation was a little bit more complicated than you thought. And this has led to this kind of holding pattern where maybe the other person is involved in a relationship and you thought they were single, and now you're left holding the bag, and you're kind of just maybe you sacrificed for that person by leaving your area or whatever, and now you're just like, okay, now what? You know, the other person misrepresented themselves, and you don't even know, like, if you're going to be with this person. So you're just kind of like hanging in there to see what happens, but you're not even sure what's happening. The higher message is the Five of Cups. So that suggests to me that it's telling you, the universe is telling you that you need to grieve this situation because it's not what you thought it was. For those of you who are single, it may be that you move to a new location and you're just, looking for love, but you have a past love that you still haven't grieved. And that is kind of cutting down on your chances of attracting somebody else because you're still hung up on another person. In any case, something that is a rather underlying influence that you may not be aware of is the Nine of Wands. And what the Nine of Wands can mean is that there is yet another battle that may be waged. And so I always think of Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction, coming up from the water one last time and you thought that she was dead. And, it's one of those things where if you have gotten out of a bad relationship, you might hear from that person again. And with these retrograding planets that we have now in June, Mercury will have gone direct, so we can't blame it on Mercury. But we still have Mars in retrograde, and then there's some other more outer planets that are also in retrograde motion. This can bring up stuff from the past. So there might be somebody that comes up that kind of upsets the apple cart in certain ways. And it's a little bit unnerving. But it also could, suggest that you're going to have to what's the term that means not double down, but have your armor on, because you never know if that person is going to show up again. But it may have to do with your current situation, that whatever you decide to do, there may be something that comes up that you have to defend. And you might have to stand up for yourself in some way. This is kind of a warrior energy. Again, another fire sign energy. So whether it's dealing with people who are fire signs or you being more like that in your own life, as a Taurus, you're pretty chill, at least until someone waves that red banner one time too many, and then forget about it. But you tend to live and let live. This may be a time when something is happening where you have to stand up for yourself and your rights. Okay, Taurus, so the energy that acts in your favor during this time is the Six of Cups. So this is about you kind of reflecting on how life used to be when things were simpler, which is what nostalgia is all about. And if you have been dealing with complicated relationships, then this card is really about you getting back to basics. And you are a sign that loves simplicity. You're not a complicated sort of person, Taurus. I feel like Taurus is straightforward and it's down to earth. It's actually an earth sign. And so the Six of Cups actually relates to the emotional nature, but it's the six, and it deals with the home and the past. And so there may be somebody who was a high school sweetheart that you still carry a torch for. Maybe that's what this card is asking you to think about. It could just be that you have a child or children. This card is connected to children, and maybe it's saying, think of your children. If you have had a rather chaotic love life, you may feel like you want to start spending more time with your children instead of worrying about a romance. You may feel that you have had enough of certain types of relationships that are based on superficial values, and you want to get back to the kind of heartfelt energy that is represented by this card. There are many possibilities. Maybe, it's right below this Eight of Wands. Maybe you have been traveling a lot and you realize that you want to live in your hometown, that was where you have felt the most comfortable your whole life. Maybe you left, your local area, and you went to college and you had started a career somewhere else, and now you're in the mode where you want to kind of get back to that old lifestyle. But it is an energy of looking at what has come before. And the advice is the Four of Cups. Now, the Four of Cups is a card of what is called ennui, or a feeling of dissatisfaction, a feeling of not being into whatever you're doing. And in this case, it has to do with your emotional responses. So as advice, I think that this card is asking you to really take a good look at how certain things feel to you. Not to kind of look at it from pragmatic terms or from terms, from intellectual standpoint, but from just your gut. How does a particular person feel to you on the gut level? And even if you don't know what you want, you know what you don't want. And sometimes just knowing what you don't want can lead you into discovering what is good for you. Because sometimes people really don't know what's good for them, and they may have very bad judgment and make poor decisions. But then, on the other hand, in a lot of ways, they can't help themselves because they're kind of confused overall about what they want to accomplish. And what they want to attract into their reality. And that makes it hard for them to So the advice is actually the Four of Cups, and this is a card of being dissatisfied. And so in terms of advice, I think it's asking you to really look at your emotional responses and ask yourself what you really want. What is your heart's desire? If you could have the perfect relationship, what would it entail? A lot of people, don't ask this question because they think that it's impossible to attract such a thing. They think they have to accept whatever comes down the pike because there are only a limited number of people out there. Maybe if they're a certain age, they think that their chances are further diminished. And so they end up in substandard relationships because they have an attitude that things are not plentiful and they have to take whatever they can get. And it's not surprising when the relationship turns out to be negative, because they didn't take the time to get to know the person. They were approaching the situation with a lot of desperation. And when you get the Four of Cups, it's telling you that and you're feeling dissatisfied about something, you need to honor that. Don't kind of gloss over it. If you're in a relationship with someone, and it could be a marriage, you could be married for 30 years, and you could have a quiet desperation, but you don't feel like there's anything you can do about it. This is a card of really bringing up the fact that it's not much of a life when you don't have passion and when you're just going through the motions. But the Four of Cups, if you look at this person, he is being offered something. He's being offered a golden chalice. And the fact that he's blasé or meh about it means that he may not be appreciating everything that is surrounding him. And we know that this can happen as well. When people don't have an attitude of gratitude, they tend to focus on lack rather than on what they have. And that kind of blinds them to all the potential that is surrounding them. So sometimes that feeling of dissatisfaction can be a blessing that you can apply to kind of being a detective in your own life and determining what exactly is making you so disinterested with what is going on. And by knowing what is causing it, you can find out a way to unleash your passions. And then, you will not be this person who is just completely bored by life and bored by whatever relationship they're in. Taurus can get into a rut sometimes, and they fear change more than they fear this sort of inertia that the Four of Cups represents. And of course, inertia is really an enemy because it means that there's not this infusion of new stimulation, new experiences. And I think that sometimes when people have affairs, they're attempting to remove that inertia, but they're doing so in a destructive way. So if you can find some self-empowering way to kind of bring passion back into your life, that would be very helpful. And then all of these other problems take care of themselves. When you change, I believe your life can't help but change. And everyone who is a player in your drama or your play of life must change their lines. So the outcome is the Justice card. What could that mean? Well, literally, some people may decide to get divorced. Obviously, this is a general reading, So this is not going to be even the majority of people, maybe. The Justice card relates to fairness. So maybe that has been what has created your sense of dissatisfaction. Maybe you feel like you're not in a marriage or relationship of equals. And that is creating a sense of inertia, dissatisfaction, grief. It could also be that the Justice card could represent if you feel like you were wronged by somebody, and that, the Five of Cups may represent you grieving, or even if you're not actively grieving, but it's in your vibration, so to speak, that you have this kind of emotional experience that you've held on to. The Justice card is telling you that there are laws in the universe that govern everything, including the actions that are taken. And so if you have felt like someone did you wrong, this card can let you know that there is cause and effect in the universe, and you don't have to worry about it. Just realize that we're all learning, and we're all vulnerable to temptation and human tendencies, and try to have a forgiving heart, even if this person is no longer in your life. Try to, kind of send some light to that person who may have hurt you, may have deceived you. Because, as a fixed sign Taurus, you can hold on to grudges, and when somebody has literally betrayed you, I can totally get why it would feel hard to just, send them light, But on the other hand, if you would like to be free of that grief, that's how you do it. When you can see things from the macro perspective, from a much higher perspective than your own pain, then maybe you will understand that it is serving a higher purpose, that experience. And maybe that can be the liberation for you, and then that can, put you in a place where you can attract someone who is perfect for you. So that would be nice. So anyway, Taurus, I think I'm going to leave it there. If you would like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a wonderful June. Bye.